What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Blood Brothers podcast. It's your boy Enoch. Got my brother James in the building.
Yo,
Y'all know how we like to do it before we get going. Let's bow our heads. Father in heaven, thank you for this day. Thank you for this moment. Use us right now. Have your way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
as always to the men, my
Yes,
friend.
sir. Talk to the people.
You know our mission: empowering men to become leaders in society under God's law. Consequently, men, women, and children will understand the foundations of a real man. Shouts out to God.
Yes, sir. Speaking of real men, last week we had a boys versus men. And we decided, you know what, let's take a deeper dive. But we
Okay.
want to add some other perspectives too. So we have a guest and we're going to see how this goes. This is the Blood Brothers podcast. Let's go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blood Brothers podcast. We got a guest in the building, my boy Tope, aka Tip. What's good, bro?
What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? I appreciate y'all
Good,
for having me
good.
on here.
My
I've
man,
been
thank
knowing
you.
this guy for a very long time. And
Word.
one thing about my boy is he never
Please.
just take whatever you say. He gotta give you some pushback. He gotta it's always gotta be like, well, why? That's one thing I always loved about you. Our conversation back in the day, whenever we had conversations, it was always you always had a different perspective to things. And then
Oh,
recently you just told me that you got into photography, and I was like, yo, that makes a lot of sense because you always took a different angle to certain topics. And I feel like you'll
I
be
didn't.
perfect on this episode right here. So, last episode was boys versus men. So, Aqua, you want to start?
I think one thing that I realized that it's important to get others' perspective, right? Especially when they're inquiring and they have a healthy point of view. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
just give their opinion and then you ask them questions and they don't really have any foundations to why they think what they think.
Yeah.
And when people do have that insight, it's important to get it because it opens up the dialogue, especially between men
Mm-hmm.
who oftentimes, we struggle to express ourselves. Let's just be honest. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? And we try
Definitely
to
agree.
set the platform to allow men to express themselves, especially men. But
Yeah.
this boys versus men. This kind of stirred up a little fire
Yeah.
between people. I ain't gonna front.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to focus on the boys' side because we kind of was hitting some, I mean,
Trigger
hitting some
point.
points.
All right, so let's start here then, right? So let me ask you, Tope, what was your opinion on our perspective of what we called grown boys in the aspect of their mentality, right? So like their decision making, and we basically said that they're living. I don't want to say they're living a lie, but they're manipulating principles to align with the morals that they're trying to
Mm-hmm.
portray. So, what is your opinion on that?
I agree fully. I
Mm-hmm.
do believe that there are a difference between a boy and a man, and
Mm-hmm.
most men or grown, there is not really age for maturity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one thing that you said. I definitely do agree with because I feel I know some grown men that still behave like boys, and
Yeah.
I've met some younger boys, some younger men.
Mm-hmm.
They're younger than me, and just talking to them like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
must have been through something. Like you're just not the regular young person. So I definitely do
Yeah.
agree with age is not a age doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
But
defining factor. Mm-hmm.
I do also think a lot of, and I can speak to this because I feel at a point I was a boy, and not necessarily when I was younger, but when I should have been maturing, I was that little boy,
Mm-hmm.
and I did have that boyish mentality. So I
Yeah.
can kind of correlate and agree.
Yeah.
But my thing now is I feel a lot of people that do have that boyish mentality and not
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to one come from a strong family or strong have support, have a strong support system there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they don't have the support system there are very few men that could figure it out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So I feel like there are a lot of boys that could be men with assistance of men.
That's
I like
deep.
that. I
That's
like that.
deep.
And
Yeah,
That's
go ahead.
and,
deep. Now go ahead.
and I personally just feel because when I was a boy, of course, everyone who's a boy is always going to think they're right. And I do this for my reason. We all create reasons in our head and we validate them as a boy.
Yep.
This is why I do this. And I just felt, yeah, we just can't leave. I don't know if what this is where you guys were going, but what I took from the episode more so is sometimes you have to leave those boys alone. And that's where I said I kind of disagree, because I felt if people had left me alone, I probably could still be a boy right now.
That's deep. I like that.
And
go ahead. Keep
no,
going.
no, my fault. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when you say that, right, I have that type of approach where it's like I'm very short. I don't want to say short temper, but I'm very impatient when it comes to that, specifically being that support system for men, if that's the best way to put it, right? Enoch has a different approach. Enoch is a lot more supportive in going through the process with men to become, better men in their whatever you want to call it, their right to improvement or maturity.
Mature. Yeah.
Right. So I think the reason why I have that approach is because my patience usually lies with children. Right. So my age gap for patience, it kind of goes from about 25 and down. And when after that age, I feel like you have to really get a real concept of life. Now, I do understand that it is hard to get a concept when you don't have anyone to help show you, right? But I just feel like oftentimes, and majority of the times, that's used as an excuse for immature behavior. So when that comes about, it's like I don't mind helping, but you have to meet me 50%. And a lot of times they don't want to meet 50%.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I live my life by a lot of quotes, and like there's one quote I don't not verbatim, but basically like people are ready for change when they're ready for change. So I definitely agree with that. So if someone is not ready for change, you could be the best mentor, you could try your best. They're still gonna go back to what they want to do until they're ready. So I definitely can agree with that.
Exactly. Because that's more so like my patience. I have a lot of patience, but it gets to a point where, okay, I'm telling you these things, you're saying you're not in your head, yeah, but you're not implementing them in your daily life.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'm just casting my pearls to swine at this point. It's like you're not getting anything that I'm saying. So I'm a little more patient than James because I will more so keep pushing.
Yeah.
I like, yo, I'm telling you, not listening. I now go about your business because I have a family and now you wasting my time. And I get that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So your patience is more with the kids because you understand like their mind is going to jump around. But at a certain age, even though we say that maturity doesn't always come with age, at a certain age, you do know right from wrong.
Agree. Definitely
Clearly.
agree with that.
At least by 30, you should know
before 30.
This I shouldn't be
30
doing.
is a little bit too late.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like at least by 30. If you like 30 and you still don't get it, I don't really got time. You know what I'm saying?
I can agree with that.
But also, I think what we need to focus on is when you see somebody at that age that's acting in boyish behavior, we gotta help them, we gotta take them back to their root.
Okay.
Like, why do you still act this way?
Facts. Agreed.
What is it about life now that you don't see no difference from when you were a boy? And I think that's where we can unpack where the real issue is.
Okay.
And I think that comes from like trauma. Like I think a lot of people something happens at a young age and they're just stuck at that moment. So they shield themselves and they don't grow. They just stuck at that moment. It's me against the world. Whatever happened, I'll never and they just don't heal from that at all.
So I would say this, right? I'm big on mental health and trauma, and this is why I'm so focused on kids, right? And I know a lot of times, I tell Enoch all the time, I come off a certain way, but a lot of times when I say things, I just want somebody to ask me, why are you saying it? Right? Because if you dive deep into what I'm saying, you'll see the root of it is it's empowerment for you to grow. It's just that I have a no tolerance for foolishness, right? I'll expect that out of a child, right? So I'll give you an example. If you have a teenager who doesn't have a father figure in his life, right? Hypothetically, or let's say he has a
Uh-huh.
father figure in his life that isn't a good role model. Now, I'm the type of person I wouldn't mind mentoring that child, and I'll see them through until until like they don't want me to do it anymore, because in that child I see myself. So when I was a child, I had a father figure, but it wasn't conducive to my health, right? Or
Uh-huh.
because a man is there doesn't mean he's actually being a real father and teaching you how to be a man. So when it comes down to the decision making to say, hey, I'm ready to become a man, that's a personal decision. And
Okay.
I think it was when I made that decision and I, begin the process and the journey, I realized that majority of the time, it's not so much of a role model per se, as much as it is you addressing your conscience from what is the root of your decision making. So it goes back to the trauma. So I guess let me
Okay.
ask you, Tope, when you think about trauma, where do you think it stems from? Like obviously, there's the father issues and the mothers. Which one do you think is worse, if that's the best way to put it?
Um, I'll take it a little step for, I guess, a step to the side or a little
Okay.
step further.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't necessarily just think all trauma necessarily comes from parents.
Okay.
Or from, I think trauma, it depends on the human being, because unfortunately there are some human beings that are very sensitive. There's
Okay.
some kids that are just naturally sensitive, so their trauma could be bullying,
Okay.
which, like, when I was younger, I got bullied, but I was able to get over that. That wasn't my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So for others, I feel like there's different trauma, and we have to be respectful to the person to understand them, how they can handle and how they process it.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's their trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
what because I've dealt with trauma too, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, so thank God I'm past it. But
Mm-hmm.
dealing with my trauma, I had to realize every everyone is right. Like, everyone has a right to their trauma. Because I at first I would hear some people tell me some things, and I'm like, really? That's what
Yeah.
you're dealing with? Like,
Yeah.
that's what you're
Yeah.
worried about? Like,
Mm-hmm.
shit,
Yeah.
you want to hear my story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, like, I've had bad days where I'll go talk to somebody like, yo, this is what happened. I'm losing my mind. And they're like, word, I didn't even eat since yesterday. And it's
Mm.
just like, shit. Like,
Yeah.
Mm.
what am I whining about? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's another quote from Joe Budden's, like, I thought I was fucked up with no shoes, so I met me a nigga with, I'm sorry for, I thought I met me a dude with no shoes, so I met me a dude with no feet.
Mm.
Mm.
Like, so he thought he was hurting because he didn't have sneakers, and then he met
Right.
a dude with no feet. So I just feel like it's
It
always
makes you
someone's trauma
build
that's
empathy for other people's situation.
exactly. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel this world right now, what we lack is empathy. That's the
Mm.
biggest thing we lack, empathy.
What do you
Okay.
think was it that moment where you was like, I need to make a shift? Because you said you you've been on both sides. You had that boy mentality as you're a little older. What was it that kind of made you say, you know what? I need to start thinking different. I need to shift from this boy mentality towards a better future.
Things just kept happening to me, random things, and
Mm-hmm.
not even like some bad, some even not that bad, but just random things would happen to me. And I was at a point in my life where I don't say I had everything, but I was very comfortable. Like, I had money, I was
Yeah.
comfortable where I was at in life at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say I was happy.
Mm.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of people with less, way happier than I was, and it was just kind of like puzzled me. Like, what am I doing this for? Like, am I chasing happiness, or am I chasing, I guess, what everybody else wants, or do I want to look like I'm that person?
Mm.
Mm.
Like, do I want to just be fake for the most part?
Yeah.
And I chose happiness, and then from choosing happiness, I'll never forget. It was Tyrese on Facebook. I was just watching some random videos. He popped up, and this is when Tyrese, I guess, he was going through something, and he was making a lot of motivational videos. And he said, if you want to change yourself, like, you have to change how you think.
Hmm.
You could change every single thing in the world about yourself, but if you don't change how you think, you're always going to revert.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuck with me, and that's where I started my journey. Like, I have to start looking at things different. I
Mm.
can't just be like this person and just want this for myself and want everybody to see me this way. Like, no, I have to step out the box, and that's what started my growth.
Hmm.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
So let me ask you this then. When you think about a healthy mentality, what are some of the things that you incorporate? Like, what is your daily activities? Like, what is the process that you took to get to that point of start to think more clearly, if that's the best way to put it?
I think self-reflection
Okay.
and being true to yourself. And when I mean like being brutally honest with yourself.
Yeah.
If you do something wrong, like one thing I've realized, I used to lie to myself. Like
Wow.
I used to have like, I don't know if you've ever seen me. When I was young, I used to have a little anger issue. Like I
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
flip.
you had a little temper.
Yeah, I used to flip at any moment. And
Yeah.
after flipping, I would feel bad. Like, damn, did I really mean to do that? But I would sit there and tell myself, nah, he did that. Like, fuck, nah, fuck. He said
Yeah.
something to me. So I wasn't really owning it until the point I got older, and I was like, you know what? I have to own everything I do. And
Like that. I like
That's
that.
good. That's good.
So
That's one of those things that a mentality that a man can have that's from a boy, because boys don't own up to things.
at
true.
all,
They
at
don't
all.
really self-reflect. Everything in their eyes they did is right. Like you go back to that moral thing. They 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 choose morals and then manipulate them so that they
So,
work in their
benefit.
favor.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I'm glad that you were able to catch that, because no matter what, like you said, no matter what changes you would have made, if you never made that change in your mind, you would still be where you at.
Great. Definitely will be. Definitely would it be. And even like to this day, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect. Once in a while, my mind still creeps back there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have to catch it. Like, hey, what are you doing? And that's where, again, like talking to yourself. I really believe in talking to yourself. Like, I'm my own best friend. And I really mean that. I love my girl. She's my best friend, but I'm literally also my own best friend. Like, I talk to myself, I check myself. And that goes back to keeping it. If you can't really tell yourself the truth, then like you're never going to tell the truth to anybody else.
Mm.
Like, if you did something wrong, yes, you can lie to everybody. Like, I didn't do that, but you have to see yourself. I did that. And
Accountability, boy.
yeah, accountability. That's really what it is. And I feel that's what really probably gave me the most growth. Once I started owning up for what I did and I stopped blaming other people, I started seeing tremendous changes. Tremendous.
I like that. So I'll tell you my moment, right? I'm big on self-reflection and accountability too. And I think what happens when you start adopting that philosophy, I'm not gonna say it rubs people wrong because it doesn't, but do you ever see yourself expecting that for your counterparts?
And I think this go back to my empathy and me going through my trauma. I expected people to be there for me while I was going through it, and I wasn't very vocal. Of course, I'm not telling anybody what I'm going through, but I expected people to just see me and get it and just ask me what's wrong.
Yeah.
And that was probably what made me more angry, the fact that people didn't see it. And I'm just like, what are you guys missing? What are you guys missing? So now it's like, can I really be mad if they didn't know? Like, I have to understand people have their own lives. Like, they have their own trauma to deal with. So maybe they don't have the time to sit there and look at every single thing I'm doing. Like, is he okay? So I understood that. And I'm sorry, what was the question? Okay, I kind of
I
got
was
away
gonna
from
say, no, that's good because I was gonna say, but after you took that approach, right, through your elevation, now how do you view your counterparts, right? Let's just say, so I'll give you an example, right? I used to cheat on every girlfriend I had, right? I used to violate. So that stemmed from me not owning up to what I learned as a child. So my father violated my mom. I don't ever remember a time when I didn't see another woman outside of my mom, right? So that's what plagued my brain. And because I was the oldest boy, you know, men have that thing where it's like, oh, I could show my oldest boy, he can handle this, right? Not realizing what you were teaching was a poisonous habit, right? So that was my trauma. So because it's so deep rooted in me and it caused so much confusion and insecurity within myself as a man, I adopted that and continued it on, right? As a generational curse. Now, it's like an addict who's had rehab,
I see what you're
right?
saying. Okay.
And you're like, yo, I can't be a part of this. I don't even want to talk about it because the thought of it makes me cringe. So now you'll take somebody like me who's owned up to that mentality, not blaming anybody, but just understanding like, you know, you're passing on a generational curse and you know better. You remember what you felt like when you did it. And then you bring it full circle and the repercussions of my actions are I don't see my son every day. I have joint custody of him, but I'm only a 50% father. and there's nothing I can do about that, right? So that pain is the drawing factor of me saying I'm never going back down that road. But not only with me, I can't be around people that do that. Like, and I won't accept that in my circle. So a lot of people feel like, because I'm like, listen, if that's what you want to do, I want nothing to do with you. They take that as me being harsh. But what they're not realizing is it's like bringing a crack to crackhead. Like, it's like bringing a crack
It's a
to crack.
trauma, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a
You're
trigger.
protecting yourself for the most part.
It's a trigger, and it's a trigger for me because remember, at the end of the day, we still have our boy inside of us that was hurt, that we deal with on a consistent basis. So my question to you is, from your trauma, now that you know your trigger points, if you have friends that that are doing what is your trigger, how do you handle that?
Um, that's a good question, and it's kind of, I have like two answers for that, because realistically, the good in me and the empathetic side in me wants to sit there and say, you know what, maybe I can be the change for that person. Maybe if I just give them my all and just not judge them, because when I was going through when I was younger, I hated being judged. And that's why I remained silent on a lot of things, because I felt if I told anybody, they would pick a side or they would judge. So I feel like if you can somehow make them feel like you're not judging them, but you let them know, I don't agree with that, I'm not with that, then but it's a very tough question, because I feel what you're saying. At the end of the day, if you have to protect yourself, if you know that's a trigger to you, it doesn't make sense for you to put yourself in the middle. Like, it doesn't make sense for an ex-crackhead to go around a crack. And then if you relapse, it's his fault. Like, why were you there? So it's definitely, I understand. I think it's just more so as a personal thing. Do you feel like, if you really feel like you don't need to be around it, then it's your life.
And I'll say this much, right? It's not that I'm ever gonna cheat on my wife, and I don't. Like, I'm never gonna do that. Like, it's not like a thing where it's like, yo, I get around women, I get the itch. It's not that. It's that the moral violation of it is consistent across the board. I've seen what it did to Holmes. I've seen what it did to me personally. So it's not so much of you cheating as much as it is the violation that causes the generational effect. So you take somebody like me who, thank God I was able to overcome the insecurities and the hurt and the pain of it. But then if you continue it on, now you'll find yourself running into people who can't deal with it. And it's going to be a repetitive cycle. So it's one of those things where I look at it like this, right? I do have sympathy for people, but my sympathy doesn't go past your bad decision, right? So if you're consciously making bad decisions on a consistent basis, you're taking advantage of the sympathy card, right? Like, it's in my opinion, right? Because it's like this. After a certain point, you know what's wrong. And even when I was doing what I was doing as a teenager, I knew it was wrong, right? Because I could have traced it back to how I felt as a kid when I seen it. When I see my mom crying, I remember how that felt. So when girls were crying, it was like a backpedal. Like, oh shoot, like, I can't believe I did that. But what I did was I numbed myself to it and tried to justify with cultural expectations. Men are supposed to do this. Men are supposed to do that. You're supposed to have all these women. You're supposed to do these things. Now, I think my tolerance is so low for it now, it just comes off as like, yo, this guy's a real douchebag. Right?
That's a fact. Cause you be like, yo, if you cheat, I'm not your friend no more. Like, it's over.
I think that's all right. So let me just, one quick thing. I believe a lot of people, a lot of smart people pay attention to people's actions more than words.
Always.
So I personally feel you just being around, and they just seen how you maneuver around. Let's just say they're around a bunch of females in the club. I'm telling you, they're taking notice, and maybe it might not hit now, it might not hit next year, it might not hit, but at some point it's gonna click in their head, like, oh, okay. Like Enoch, when I DM'd you and I told you about the little convo we had at Chili's, till this day that still sticks with me. Yeah, you probably just thought that was a short convo, like, okay, blah blah, but till this day that convo still sticks with me. Yeah, and that's just my thing, James. I'll just say, you never know what kind of impact you will have on someone else. And I feel like, if you're just saying, I don't want to deal with it, yes, I completely understand where you're coming from, but you're kind of dimming your own light to help others.
I like that.
Yeah, and when you said that to me, that hit a lot, because I remember that conversation at Chili's, and you said to me, like, yo, just imagine if I was living like that, and you looked at me like, yo, I ain't messing with this dude. You know what I'm saying? So I get your point when you say your conversations and how you carry yourself could change that person.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, I guess, I guess what it really boils down to is if that person is willing to be accountable.
Agreed.
If you're willing to be accountable, then we can go somewhere.
Somewhere you can start with that.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're just out here wilding, like, yo, man, it don't matter. I'm good. And your ego is just so is blinding you to the point where you don't see no issue in what you're doing. You don't see how that can translate into the rest of your life, into when you have kids. Then it's like, yo, I'm gonna try to tell you, like, bro, like, listen, if you're not, I can't just keep pushing it.
So let me ask you this then. Wouldn't that mean that? All right, so I guess this is the question I have for both of y'all. I'll still pay first, right? So, what is the limit to your patience, right? Because let's just say the minute they do it, I'm like, I'm good. But then you decide 5 years later, like, you still doing it? I'm good. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, right? And a lot of people don't know because they don't really like. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really. I love explaining myself, but if you don't indulge, I'm not gonna explain myself. Do you understand what I mean? So I'm like, whatever. It is what it is.
I agree with that.
Believe what you want. You can think what you want. Whatever.
So yeah, I agree with that. That's your fault. That's your loss.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times it's not cold turkey that I cut people off. If you're close to me, if you had a real conversation, you're close to me, I've expressed so many emotions about my life and how I feel towards you as a friend, and what our friendship means long term, and how it's important that we conduct ourselves a certain way. So when I do see these violations for someone that's close to me, you're not only violating your family to me, you're violating our friendship, right? Because if I'm telling you, like, yo, like I love Enoch. Enoch's my brother, right? But he's a totally different person to me. The only thing that keeps us close is that we have the same morals, right? And we don't manipulate the moral according to our relationship. You're either wrong or you're right, according to what the moral says. It has nothing to do with your feelings.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I guess the question would be, what is the difference between saying you did it one time, I'm cutting you off, and then you waiting 5 years down the line, and then you're like, all right, I can't do this anymore. What would be the difference for you if you could explain it to me back, trying to explain it to me? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't wait because I don't have time. Like, I'm just not here for it. So maybe you could explain to me the process of waiting, if that makes
Are we
sense.
specifically speaking about cheating or just any kind of trauma?
It could be any kind of it could be any kind of violation or trauma, anything that needs patience, right?
Okay, anything that you're not you don't morally agree with.
Yes,
A
there you
close
go.
friend of yours is
Yeah.
doing it.
Yep.
Uh, I don't know. Let me think on that. Let me think on that.
So
When is enough enough?
all right, so E, let me ask you then. You what is your, when the morals are in place and they're violated,
Yeah.
why have patience with it?
Well, I feel like you should have patience enough so that you can, like you said, help. Now, where my patience run dry is when I feel myself exerting so much that it's starting to affect me.
Okay.
That's my, it could be one time, it could be 5 times. That one time, if I felt like that one time is like, I've given too much to this, then I have to back up because I have a family. So there's but so much
Too much.
I can give to you. Now, if it's something where it's like, okay, I can see growth here.
Okay.
Even though you messed up, I see growth. Then I'm willing to push a little more. Like you said, if it's only one way, that's with any relationship, with your friend, if you're dating, if you're the only one putting an effort forward,
Yeah.
you gotta know, like, all right, this isn't going anywhere. I need to back off, and not even back off on a yo, I just need to let you know, like, I'm not rocking with you no more.
That's me though. That's me.
That's you.
Yeah.
But me, like when I had that situation before, I slowly, I was like, I'm gonna fall back a little bit, right? Now, I'm gonna fall back. I'm not gonna reach out. But if I see that you're reaching out and trying to, apologize or trying to make some effort, then I'll lean back in. But initially, I'm gonna fall back like, all right, I got nothing against you, but what you did and what you got going on is not conducive for my life right now. So I'm gonna fall back. But if I see you coming towards me as I'm falling back, I'm not gonna keep falling back.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna keep nah. I see, okay, all right. I see the steps coming. Okay, now I'm here waiting for you. Where do you want to take this? And then once I see that, that's when I'll know, like, okay, my time is not being wasted.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I had
All
a
right.
situation like that,
Yeah. What you think, Tope? Fill me in.
To
Y'all
answer the
schooling me right
question,
now. Just like you know, y'all schooling me. But go ahead.
this is just my views, and like
It's
Enoch said,
fine.
I really do look at things from. I don't say I look at things from a different perspective, but I've come to realize most people don't think like me for the most part.
Yeah.
But um, I thought about it, and I don't think personally I have one friend where I can say we all like every single one of morals tie in line. I personally don't even think there's an individual that all my morals tie in line with theirs. Because I think I do think everyone is very unique in their own ways. So I feel it's kind of impossible for me to have.
You going.
Yeah,
I
it's
see you
impossible for me
thinking.
to.
I see you thinking.
It's impossible for me to have someone. So if someone is close to me, they have. Now it's up to me. I have to choose what morals I can live with and what morals I can't live with. So if let's just, God forbid, one of my friends a murderer, that I can't live with that. I'm gonna cut you off. We're not friends. Like we just I'm not with that. But if it's something, let's just say like I view like I have some friends that are not as religious as I am. They're not Christians. They're not atheists, but they're not Christians. And me personally, I just feel like I won't cut them off for that, even though because we don't share those same moral values. I look at it as maybe one day, you never know. Maybe something might happen in their life where they might need to come to me like, yo, I know you're religious and I know you told me you prayed for this and that and it worked. Like, what's up? Maybe that could happen. So, and I just felt I never want to burn the bridge. In the business, because my thing is you never know what someone could do for you. Just an old friend, you never know. You see them down the street, you need a job, or you never know. So I don't like to burn any bridges. I really generally do not like to burn bridges. So I just feel for the most part, like Enoch said, if I'm starting to get affected by your decisions, like I'm starting to like it's starting to affect me, then yeah, I gotta push back because I come first at the end of the day.
Okay. So I'll be honest with both of you guys. The reason why it affects me is because I do take friendship very seriously, right? And I hold friends to a very high standard. Why? Because I do firmly believe that you're a reflection of your friends because you get to choose them. See, I couldn't choose my father, I couldn't choose my mother, siblings, aunts, uncles, that was all given to me. But my friends, that took some time for me to choose who I want to say is really my friend. Now, where I messed up was I didn't realize that, and then, like I said, it's still a process as I go through it. But when it comes to friends, not everybody views them at the same level. So what for me, I'm willing to go to bat for my friends, right? Like you really my guy. If you're my friend, like you're basically my family, right? I don't blood or not, it doesn't really matter to me. Like if you're my friend, like nah, I'll do anything for you. You're really my guy. So because I view it as that, I am hypersensitive to our friendship, right? Because it's like, look, you got to understand, you got a friend here that'll go to war for you, right? But not in the sense of if I'm not gonna go to war over morals with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm not in a position to say, yo, I love you so much as a friend that if you violate morals, I'll see you through the process. Right. Now, if you don't agree with my morals, that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. That's not really my issue. My issue would be is why wouldn't someone communicate their confusion or dislike or anything like that with someone that you would call your friend, right? So if Enoch has a problem with me, I would take it offensive if he didn't feel like he could come to me, because then that would be Like, how are we really friends if we can't talk?
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you say that we're friends, to me that's outside of my wife and my kids, that's like the highest title I can give someone because of the esteem that I put on it. And I think people are just so quick to everybody's their friend. Like, yo, we're
Yeah.
cool with everybody, and it's like,
This day
yeah,
and age, yeah.
yeah, and
This
because
day
it's
and
like
age,
that,
unfortunately.
Facts.
it's different for me. So when I come off very, I don't want to call it violent, but just very direct. Like, listen, I'm not here to, raise you. I need you to come as someone who can add value, and I'm adding value to you. We build together. But if you're constantly, half stepping, I don't even say, or backsliding, or whatever you want to call the word, how can we build? We're always going backwards. So we'll take 2 steps forward, then 1 step backward. And it's like, I think me personally, it's like this. I never mean to offend anyone, but where I lack is the ability to communicate without a level of sensitivity, if that makes sense. So I do applaud you guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like I tell you, not all the time. I do admire people who do have that empathy and can express it. The problem with me is I feel like through our friendship, we've built so much
Mm-hmm.
that when I bring something to you, it should never offend you because I care about you.
Yeah, that's true.
You get what I'm saying? Like if you, I don't know who your closest friends are, Tobe. Like, you know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
if you was to bring something to your friend that you felt like was detrimental to him and he took it offensive, what does that say about your friendship? You get what I'm saying?
I definitely feel what you're saying, and I've been in situations like that.
Mm,
I'm a very vocal person, so if I see
okay.
something wrong, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna say
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I've learned to also now I don't know. I've learned to shut my mouth, and
I
also
agree.
you have to read people.
I agree.
And that's what I just know. I read people. Like if I see a friend doing something I think is not right,
Mm-hmm.
I might slightly slide it in there, see how
Mm-hmm.
they respond. If they respond positively, I'll keep talking on it. But if they just dead me, hey, I tried. What can I do? I just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely a tricky slope. But to answer a question, what you were saying, not to answer a question, but to what you were saying, oh damn, I'm losing my track of thought. You were saying something. I had something for. Oh yeah, to put the shoe on the other foot of the person now. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
say you I'm not gonna use Enoch. You had a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
They did something that you didn't like and it stood completely against your moral code. And
Mm-hmm.
now you just took a step back from them. You're moving back.
Mm-hmm.
Now from their perspective, they're gonna look at it as, damn, I just made a mistake. This is supposed to be my friend. This is supposed to be my man's.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's so quick to pull back,
Mm-hmm.
most
Was
people
he
are gonna
really
get
my man's?
yeah, and most people after that they're gonna get in defensive mode. Word, bet I ain't gonna hit him up neither. And I feel that's how bridges are
That kind of
burned,
happened.
and that's how bridges are burned. And when it's like realistically, both individuals really fuck with each other. I'm sorry for curse. I keep cursing. Both individuals really mess with each other,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just off a circumstance and the fact that both people didn't want to speak about it. And I feel it's all about communication. But sometimes communication is hard because people don't want to listen, and it's like one ear out the other, and people just want to talk. But if both parties could listen, it's just all about communication. There's a reason people became friends. There's a reason there.
Mm-hmm.
What if I gave you warnings to what you're about to do and you still do it? Like I'm literally communicating with you like, bro, I see which way you're going. This is what's gonna happen if you do that. Bro, I'm telling you right now, chill. They ain't like, oh no, 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 it's all good. And next thing you know, the same exact thing you told them, that issue is now brought to your front door. And I was like, yo, bro, I told you about that. So now it's like I communicated with you, so you heard what I was saying, you listened and still did it. So now it's like I'm looking at you like, yo, you really don't rock with me like that then.
And to respond to that, some people could, as soon as you say that, some people could look up at your face and eat and be like, you know what, you're right. Enoch, I appreciate it. You said the right thing. But some people are gonna get in defense mode. And I just it's all about reading. Sometimes you have to read people. Because I'm not gonna say it takes a man. It takes a bigger man to really sit there, like, you know what, you're right, bro. Like, you want me 100%.
And I think that's the difference between boys and men.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that's a boy, because
Yeah,
you could
if you
still
can't
you
take
could be
credit,
you could be bro. You could be a man with an ego still. Like, you can still be a man with an ego.
is that a real man?
A lot of men have
Because
a
ego
lot of
is
real men have.
emotion. If your emotion is leading how you conduct yourself, that's a childish behavior.
But sometimes emotion will, based on circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
based on circumstances, there are times where emotion will take over, and it's just it's unfortunate. Like, I'm very calm now, I'm cool, but
Yeah.
if the ever small time when I do get hot, yes, it's emotion, but I it's kind of very hard for me to control. So
Yeah.
it's emotion controlling me at that moment, but I don't think that makes me less of a man. I just know I can't get to that level. I just know to walk away, to
Yeah.
Usa,
Yeah.
let it go. Because once I get to that level, I guess I do become a boy, and I just flash out.
Huh.
Okay.
But I think communication is key. I just feel there's no, like, if I understand friends draw apart, but I feel most friends don't. Most good friends don't. And if you don't just draw apart because of time, if you draw apart because of time, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Things happen. But I feel like if you draw apart because of something happened, just speak about it. Like, it's just all about communication.
Okay. Okay. So let's dig into a little bit of trauma, right? Um, if you don't mind expressing, what would you consider? You don't have to go into too much detail, but what formed your mentality as a child that triggered this anger that you said that you've dealt with?
So basically something happened when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and people were not there for me that I felt should have been.
Okay. How old were you?
And I was probably, I was very young.
Okay. Okay.
I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the anger I think I carried with me until I actually dealt with it. And I didn't probably deal with this specific incident probably until I was about 26, 27.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Like, I was making progress. It's kind of funny. I was making progress. I was changing, but like, I would take 2 steps forward, and then, like, a matter of 10 minutes, something would happen and I would regress, and I would just flip. Like, I would lose it on, like, damn, I came this far. And that just kept happening. Like, I'll take steps and I'm like, something is wrong. Like, something is wrong. And then I was referred to a therapist, and then they dug deeper, and I realized, oh, wow, like, things I thought, like, I really just, I got past, I did not. I just covered it and said that.
No,
I never actually.
I'm a big advocate for therapy though. Like I agree with the process of therapy. I love how they unpack things. It's like a onion, and they get to the root of it, of what it is that you're dealing with, right? So 3-year healing process, because that's what it is. How do you think you reflected on yourself? So what was some of the things you had to tell yourself to really that you had to own, right? So before you say yours, I'll just say mine, right? I had to just really own that I was like someone that I didn't want to be like, right? So if I'm like, yo, I go all this time I grew up in my life saying, yo, I don't want to be nothing like my father, and I ended up doing the exact same things to a higher degree, because I'm like, look, at least my father wasn't dumb enough to, have a kid and now have 2 separate homes. But look at you, dummy, right? Like, and it's not me being mean to myself, but it's just being honest. Like, I call myself dumb, not in that aspect, but in that situation, I was very dumb for being immature, and I had to own that, right? So what was something that you really took on where you're like, yo, that I was bugging, that wasn't it?
I definitely can own up to expecting people to be there for me, and I didn't tell them anything. And I personally feel like I moved around most of my childhood life like no one cares about me, but just angry.
Yeah.
But the older I got, I realized, like, you didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
For the most part. And then I actually sat down, like, kind of had an out of body experience, and looked at myself and just, like, looked at my childhood. Like, I wasn't walking around high school with my head down. Like, I wasn't eating lunch in the corner by myself. Like, so I wasn't really, I wasn't doing anything that was really showing.
Yeah.
He's going through something. So it was like, how can I expect people to be there for me? when they didn't know. So that's definitely one thing. And also, I got to own my anger, and that was not an excuse. And I did a lot of things I regret, and I own up to that. Like I definitely own up to that. And yeah,
Just imagine all the people that had similar trauma that never got a chance to deal with it.
agreed. And I probably would still be making the same mistakes if I
You
didn't
know what I'm
deal with
saying?
it.
And like how you say, like men getting married that still never dealt with their boy issues, those traumas. And then the home breaks up. And then you have fathers that are young fathers that don't have that mentality
Mentality.
and they pass it on to their kid. And I got to give
Scary.
a big shout out to Charlie because he says all the time his dad wasn't there. Like he had some real, he would see his pops living down the block and they would never hang out. And to
Wow.
see that he's a father of two girls and he's a great father, you either take two choices. You either say,
Facts.
I'm going to be a great father because my father wasn't there, or you can take the boy mentality. Well, I didn't have a father, so it is what it
Facts.
is.
You either let it make you or break you.
You
And
know
I
what I'm
feel like
saying?
at some point in your life, you got to make it's either my trauma is going to make me or it's going to break me. And
Facts.
you got to decide.
So let me just piggyback of what you said, Tope, I'm sorry.
That's cool.
About you didn't say anything, right? See, I used to think that too, because being hurt for so long, you become immune to it in a way. So it becomes misplaced emotion, right?
Agreed.
I'm hurt, but I'm just angry now, or I'm taking it out on women, or whatever it is that you're trying to fill that void. Now, what I realized when I became a father was, and this is not an excuse, but I was failed by my father, right? Because the same way you're saying, yo, I should have said something, I would never leave it up to my son to figure out what to say to his father, right? So I'm constantly checking on his mind. See, a good father will always check on their child's mind, because think about it like this, and I learned this the hard way, obviously, but it's like, look, I have my son 50% of the time, but I could have his mind 100% of the time if I invest in him.
Agreed.
So when I realized that, it brought me back to a child that's like, dang, I should have said this or I should have said that. But it's like, at that age, it's not my responsibility to try to figure out what's going on. I'm a kid,
That's a
right?
good point.
I'm hurt. So where is my support system? I don't know how to say something. You need to go to your children and create that, that open dialogue. And
Yeah.
because a lot of times, especially in the Black community, there aren't men that's going down to their kids and going, yo, everything all right with you today? Even if
Facts.
there's nothing wrong,
Facts.
you don't have to show no
Facts.
signs. Listen, let me tell you, my
Facts.
son, he's one of the most upbeat children you'll ever meet. Like, he's a
Yeah.
very vibrant child, electric almost. And that's not me bragging. Like, it's just really
Nah,
how
that's facts.
it doesn't matter his environment. He captivates his environment. And even still, I still make sure I get that one-on-one time where me and him just talk. It doesn't even matter what we talk about, whether it's business, whether it's how much I love him, whether it's how school going. And it's not so much that I'm trying to, overcompensate for the time that I'm missing, as much as I'm trying to invest the time into him, so that way his mind is always in the right place. So when he does come across trauma or whatever it is that he's experiencing, he knows he can come to me, right? Because you can't expect a child to express themselves openly when they're hurt. Most of the time, they're just gonna cry. And then what do you say to boys when they cry? You a boy, why you crying? Right? Like that's
I,
they
I,
tell you. And
everything you said is spot on, bro. Like I complete, but just not to cut you off.
go
I had to
ahead.
tell myself that's a heal, bro. Like, and that's just I had to tell myself that's a heal. Because if I completely understand what you said. I don't have kids yet, but trust me, like I'm gonna be that father that you are. Like, because I do not want my kid to go through what I did. So I definitely agree with you. I do think it is the parents' job, but
And
I
it's
had to tell myself that's a heal, just to get that,
I
to let it
listen,
go.
no,
To
no,
let it
I
go.
agree with you 100%, because what you're saying isn't wrong, especially as a man saying it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But when a child, like, so example, right? I didn't see my son for 14 days just about because of little situation, right? When he came back to me, he stayed with me for the weekend. Now my weekends are altered. Like I have like big gaps on the weekend, like 5 days at a time. So, it balances. Now he comes to me, and this is just a testament to our relationship. But he goes, Daddy, I prefer to stay today, right? Now I can tell he was hurt about it because I had to explain to him, like, this is not how things work right now,
Oh,
right? This is not
sheesh.
how it works right
Tough.
now. But
Sheesh.
don't worry, because one day you're just gonna be able to be like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I'm staying here tonight. Cool. It's all good. But because men don't identify that I'm the father, it's my job to open that
No.
floodgate up of
Mhm.
communication. And that goes for me with my friends, that goes for me with my wife. Like
Agreed.
I have to be that bridge that goes, hey, you know what? Even if my communication might be direct, I'm communicating though, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a conversation out of me. And like I said, when I listen to trauma, a lot of times as kids, we feel like it's our fault. And
Yeah.
it's not. It's just
Yeah.
not. Like no matter what you say, it's not. Because
Yeah.
where were the parents that were supposed to be there to help guide you through the process,
Yo, matter of fact, Tip, let me ask you something. See, I grew up in Haitian background. You have an African background. Did you grow up kind of like me where you felt like you couldn't really go to your parents for things? Or was it more open dialogue?
No, it's kind of funny. I tell some of my friends this. I really growing up, my father was there, and my father's a great father. Like
Yeah, same here.
I love my father to death. We just came from a different culture and different times.
Yeah.
So I didn't really speak to my father, like no joke, probably till middle school, maybe high school. Like
Wow.
more so, my father was the provider. Like he plays with me here and there, but conversations, I used to talk to my mom, and
Mm-hmm.
more so, my dad was like the disciplinary, disciplinary person and the
Mm-hmm.
provider. Like yes, he'll play with me here and there, but as far as like outside hitting bats and balls, all that, nah,
Yeah.
we didn't come from that culture.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
think if you had that relationship, that whole trauma probably wouldn't have affected you as much?
agreed. Oh hell yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
hell yes, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
So that's why I kind of always go back to the fathers. Like, even though there's things outside of a father's control, trauma of young boys, I feel like it always, if you get to the full root of it, it'll stem back to the father.
yeah.
That's how I feel.
I
Nah,
think
I agree.
uh,
Good. Good. What,
I
what you
don't
think?
know.
Good.
I think parents. I'll say parents because and not to just throw women in here like women are beautiful creatures, but I just feel because my mom had her fair share too. Trust me, my
Yeah, yeah,
mom,
yeah. Same here.
my mom might probably be worse than my dad. So
Mm.
yeah, it
See,
just depends.
see, it's different with y'all. See, my mom was treated like a child,
Mm,
but she was very loving. So I had a different experience in that aspect. So what happened when like I could talk to my mom, but because she wasn't that figure that I needed to identify with, meaning like I'm a young man, so I need a man to explain to me why my emotions are the way they are. Right?
mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize men's emotions are way more intense than
Different.
than
I
you
agree.
than you than
Yeah,
you
it's different.
really
Then we put out.
Yeah,
they're very
yeah.
intense. And
Then we
and
put out. Definitely
and
is.
it's like you get to a point where you're like, hey, look, I love my mom to death, right? But I need to hear a man's voice.
Mm,
I need to hear the affirmation of a man telling me like, yo, I love you. Like, you my guy. I need a hug. I need a kiss. I
yeah.
need that. Right. Like I told, I think my father told me he loved me like twice. One
Mm,
time,
Sheesh.
one time was like I played really well in a basketball game. Matter of fact, I'm lying. One time that I can remember him really just telling me straight up, like, yo, I love you. Like, and he was like on his surgery bed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
and this is
Sheesh.
wow.
listen, this is not a knock versus him. Like, and I mean that because I don't blame him in the sense of I don't make excuses. Like, I tell my kids, yo, I'm the father. I wish I had a father like you. Like, that's what I tell my
Mm,
kids. Like, I wish I had a father like you. As
yeah,
I'm hugging
yeah.
them and kissing them and making
Wow.
them take naps with me and all of these things. So when you thinking about trauma and decision making, it is almost it is almost one of those kind of things where I do have a lot of empathy for men who lack the maturity, right? Because I'm pretty sure it's rooted in a man who didn't identify what a mature man is supposed to act
Okay,
like,
I can agree with that.
right?
Yeah.
The only thing is, the reason why I'm not so vocal about that is because I don't want it to be a crutch.
Yeah.
And if you say it enough, you start to use it as a crutch mentally.
And I agree with that. I completely agree with that.
That's
You know what I'm
true.
saying? So I do respect y'all empathy and y'all patience, because like I said, I'm working on that myself. But especially when you become a father, like remember, I had my son when I was 20. So I would all throughout my 19, when I was 19, a teenager, I was preparing to be a father. So it was like culture shock for me.
Yeah.
I can imagine me
You know
having
what I'm saying?
that.
It was pressure. Like I'm like, yo, like my son is 10 and I'm 30. So you know, we're right on course. 40 and 20, right? You know what I'm saying? So through that process, I learned that no matter what happened in your childhood, at the end of the day, it's your turn now.
Facts.
Well said.
It's your turn, right? Enough. It's your turn.
Facts.
So I guess I'll ask you guys this then, right? When it comes to validating your manhood, right? As far as like, okay, you've come into your full circle of like, okay, I believe I'm truly a man. What is the first thought that comes to your head? Does that make sense? Did I give a clear question, or you want me to go first? Like when I say I'm a man, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is that my morals align with my actions, and I'm one with my thoughts. So that makes me a man. That
For
that,
me,
that that validates me as a man, in my perspective. So what would yours be?
well, basically what you're saying, but that my morals align with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so basically the same kind of, and being accountable and being being the head that you're supposed to be, being in the right position that you're supposed to be, like our mission statement say, you know, doing the things that people can look at you and say like, yo, like I would not mind if my daughter dated somebody like me. There's some men that can't say
Facts.
that'll say to their daughter like, yo, I gotta raise my daughter, I don't want her dating no guy like me. Like I can truly say I would be happy if my daughter dated somebody like me. And that for me is that validation, like, okay, you're in the right direction.
I like that. What about you, Tom?
For me, I would have to say wisdom. That's one word I feel relates to being a man. Just more so going through things having that experience. You just have that wisdom. And I feel, wisdom. And also, I so personally feel like knowing when I was young, I used to think being a man was like being muscular, being tough.
What you think? That's still a man. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's still a man.
It's part of being a man, but I think also it's part of being a man. But I think the strongest part is most us knowing when to react, when not to react, when to fall back. Just mastering your emotions. I'll say that. Mastering and knowing how to control your emotions. And I feel that's when you got that handled, you're a man.
I like that. I like that.
On that note, y'all know what's up. Tip, I appreciate you coming.
Word, bro. You very insightful, bro.
I gotta leave you with some kind words.
I was shy as hell. I came from, but this is pretty good.
I know. I told.
Great topic.
He was nervous.
Great topic.
Yeah, he hit me. He was like, "Yo, is there anything I should be expecting or be ready for?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro, it's gonna be fun. Don't worry about it, bro. You good?"
Hold on. What you thought was gonna happen, bro? You thought he was gonna get on like, "Yo, what do you think about life?"
I don't know. I don't know if I had the script. Like, I ain't going for. Cause I've been on like 2 other podcasts, and like they really had it written. It didn't flow this smooth. Like, this was just like we just chilling talking.
Yeah, that's what I was telling. Like, yo,
this is actually good. We good. Smooth.
Yeah, man.
Smooth. Okay.
Well, look, hold on. We do script it, but we're just like, put it like this.
Yeah, we just have a subject and then we just go in.
And then we have the subject and we have like topics that we just operate around.
Okay.
And then we flow through. But you got to remember too, like me and Eben talk for so long that
I just get each other.
Yeah, we be knowing. But nah, you were great, bro. Honestly.
Definitely a dope show, bro. I'm definitely gonna keep tuning in.
I appreciate you, man. Cause like when you hit me up, I was surprised, like, yo, I ain't talked to Tip in a minute. You hit me like, yo, like I really like your show. And then when you gave me that insight, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely gotta get him on the show. But I appreciate you coming.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Oh,
Thank
no
you very much for
problem.
that,
And
man.
you know, through your process, through you still growing, it's gonna be ups and downs.
Oh yeah, I already know that.
Know what I mean,
I'm not
but
done
just
yet.
make facts. Just make sure you keep God before anything. You be all right.
Amen.
I like
Amen.
that. You know, my motto: strive for perfection. And I gotta change a little because everybody be like, I can't be perfect, but you can always make the right decisions. Be conscious of your decisions.
Decisions, agreed.
Then you'll be excellent. Worst come to worst. Other than that, we thank you guys. We'll see y'all next episode. Later.
Later, man. You have a good night.
All right,
Yes, sir.